Now for something a little different. While mobile communication technology pushes society further into the digital age, many hearing impaired or deaf people are in danger of being left behind. But with around 2.8 million deaf citizens in the country, one South African company has heard their struggles. MTN is piloting a national relay service using technology to enable communication for the deaf. Let's find out more from MTN's South Africa's Chief Customer Service and Operations Officer, Cornelia van Heerden, who joins us virtually from here in Johannesburg. Thanks for your time this evening, Cornelia. Really good news story for us to be able to focus on tonight. Explain to us this pilot project that MTN has decided to embark on, and you're doing so in partnership with Convo South Africa, a deaf-owned company that has been working in this space for years now already.
Good evening, Marcel. Thank you so much for having us. So what we are doing is Convo is actually an international company, but their South African arm has got an app. So they're a deaf-owned company. They work, a lot of their staff are deaf people. So they really understand what the deaf community needs. So how the service works is you can connect a hearing impaired person with a hearing person through the service. So a hearing impaired person would connect via the service, and then the service would either via text translate to voice, or the part that I particularly like is where they can do sign language. So you can do sign language where the deaf person would sign to the interpreter, and the interpreter would then relay it to voice or text or whatever the user needs to the other person. So that's really how the pilot works. And of course, we are piloting with 100 users currently, purely for us to get a better experience. So we really want the deaf community to get the best experience. And for us to do that, we need to understand really what they need and what will work for them.
It's just the other day I was speaking to our sign language interpreter about this, and we were saying, or he was saying, that because he works in the community all the time, that there hadn't really been progress made from, you know, those very rudimentary landlines where the light would flash to say that it's ringing, and that we haven't really seen that the technology that especially mobile phones has brought right into our hands hasn't really been used to benefit, especially those from the deaf community. But that's really doing this in bucket loads. I'm just looking at the video that we're showing of those using this program, and just the little girl who's hearing impaired or deaf, her face lighting up because she too now can communicate with a loved one or friend via phone. This is going to be life-changing, isn't it?
Definitely, Marcel. And you know what is interesting is if you are not hearing impaired, you don't really understand how difficult it is. So when we started this project, we met with the company and obviously some of the interpreters, and then I only got the appreciation for how difficult it is if someone can't hear. And we just assume that going through our daily lives that people can hear. And with this service, it will be almost like hearing. It is emulating hearing for the hearing impaired, because they can get access to all the same services, the same medical services, something like making an appointment at a hairdresser, making an appointment at a doctor. They can do all of those things now, and really puts the power in their hands to live their lives fully, which for us is really what it's about. It's about giving everybody the benefits of a modern connected life.
I'm just looking at the use of video. Like you said, you know, even better is if a video call can be used for sign language. And we really did see video technology on mobile phones help us get through something like a pandemic that we have experienced over the last few years. How are you hoping, once you've through this pilot project, how are you hoping for the rest of this technology to be distributed? Once you've gone through the pilot project, you've troubleshooting what the issues are going forward, what do you envision for this kind of technology for this community?
So much, I think this is because they've built an app. It really becomes like we use Zoom, or we use Microsoft Teams in our daily lives. It becomes like that for them. So they can use WhatsApp. It's connectable via the channels that everybody's already familiar with. But then helping especially children and people that are not yet maybe proficient in typing to also be able to use the service. So it's really to go much broader than just the people that use it on a daily basis, but connecting people with the broader communities. So not just people that can type or people that are literate, but also people that are illiterate, people that typically would have to rely on other people to help them, to give them back their independence. So it's really for us to give it to everyone. There's 235,000 people in South Africa that use sign language as a medium of communication. And that's really what we see this working. Students that are in lectures, that need interpreters to understand the lectures. It's really giving them that opportunity to live the life that everybody else has access to.
And as with all of these conversations, we do have to speak about the prohibitive costs of data, for instance, when it comes to using this kind of technology. And I'm assuming that this is something that your team has taken on board as well, because you want this kind of technology to benefit all of those in this community and not just those that are better off and can afford to use this kind of technology.
Exactly like that, Marshall. So what we are looking at doing is, as post the pilot, to really see how we can offer the service at the absolute lowest cost, potentially for free in some of the service instances, and then also to look at the types of phones or the devices that people would need. So, I mean, video is not accessible for everybody, or not everybody's got a smartphone, although our smartphone penetration has really increased over the last number of years. But really to say for a basic device, how can those people still access the service and still be able to connect to the broader communities?
Now, Cornelia, some people might be watching this and saying, oh, I've got, at my church, I've got a few members of the church who are hearing impaired, or somebody who runs a local police station or an emergency service, the fire station. If they want to find out more about this technology, like the question would be, do I need to download the app on my side so that I can communicate with my deaf member of my church who's got that app as well? I suppose you're going to need quite a bit of a education and awareness program out there to really get the message about this life-changing app out there.
No, definitely. So you can also, it doesn't have to be through the app. You can also use WhatsApp. So some of the other channels as well. So in a church, for example, if there's already a WhatsApp group, this can be accessed through WhatsApp. So that's also part of the pilot, is to see what are the use cases and how people would use the technology, to try and flesh that out. Also, in terms of people accessing it right now, people can go to www.convo.ca.za and then sign up for the pilot. Also, there would be access to show how the service works. And then we can, as a community together and as in partnership with Deaf South Africa, really flesh out what this is the best use cases for people that are hearing impaired.
And I suppose if we have more of an uptake in it, there'll be more of a reason for businesses such as yourself and other stakeholders just to keep going and trying to make it work for the betterment of everybody's lives. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Cornelia van Heerden is MTN South Africa's Chief Customer Service and Operations Officer, telling us about a great project, a pilot project that they're involved with. We thank her for her time this evening.